and welcome to Coffee and, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsockеtradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee and panel.
It is Coffee and Time on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us on Thursday morning. It is the first day of May in the year 2025. I'm Joe Callahan, and we'll say good morning to Bob Lauder. Good morning to you, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
And joining us at the Coffee and table this morning is Garrett Manseri. Good morning to you, Garrett.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Bob. Good morning, everybody.
Sue Tessary-McKenzie could not join us today, so we hope Sue can join us next week here on the Coffee and program. So, Bob, a good choice, by the way, for the New England Patriots first-round draft pick.
Okay,
I know you wanted Will Campbell. We got him, and you're so smart, Bob.
What was all the controversy about the draft? People weren't chosen in the order they expected, or what was going on?
Okay, in a nutshell, Deion Sanders' son is a very good quarterback, played for Colorado. Mm-hmm. He was expected to go in the first round. He went in the fifth round. The Cleveland Browns finally took him.
Why?
Well,
why was there...
So, see, you have to know who Deion Sanders is.
All right.
You know who Deion is?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deion is an extreme extrovert, to put it mildly.
Okay.
All right. Very out there, very opinionated, and like that.
Okay.
His sons are just like him. Okay?
Right.
Which is, you got to have that kind of bravado in sports, especially if you're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but he's a little too much. And the scouts are looking at him saying, this guy's a pain.
Yeah, you can play, but
yeah,
you're going to cause problems.
You're going to cause problems in the locker room. We don't want you. Now, they were calling for, there's collusion. No, you'd have to argue that. I don't think there was. It's just the scouts said, they just said, no, we don't want you, we don't want you, we don't want you. So he dropped way down in the draft. But finally, the Cleveland Browns took him. So that was the big controversy.
Now, does that mean
he's very, very cocky.
Does that mean that his earnings level is probably going to be a little bit lower than some of the people who are higher up in the draft?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he could have lost out on money. Sure. But he's coming across and saying, first of all, he's saying, I don't want to play for that team or that team or that team because they're lousy. I'm only going to go to a good team.
Okay.
And he wants to start right away. I don't want to be the backup somewhere because I'm so great. I'm like, you haven't played one NFL game yet, and you're going to decide what happens? So that puts people off a lot.
Yeah, I would think the opposite. I would want to go to a team that's not that good, prove that I am super good, and then I would get to a much better contract on a better team, as opposed to trying to be at the top team, But
so that was
he's
the big
smart.
Controversy.
He's scoping it out the correct way.
I'll never be there, but I know that's probably a better strategy,
That was the big controversy at the NFL draft this year. A very cocky kid went late in the draft.
What happened with the Red Sox yesterday?
Well, it was ugly yesterday. They were winning 6-0 and lost 7-6.
I got something for you, just to bring back memories.
Oh my God!
I know it's not going to happen again, but you can always dream.
It's not going to happen. What's not going to happen again, Bob? Well, you like Scotch tape
It's
a lot.
wrapped in newspaper.
I don't want to the whole thing. All right, it's some kind of magazine of some sort. Time magazine, The Joy of the Sox. Wow. From November 8th, 2004, it's the Time magazine of the Red Sox winning the 2004 World Series, first World Series in 86 years. You had this hanging around in your office, Bob?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Because, and now I got this person's address. This is nice.
True. I think that person's long gone.
Oh, okay. Down there in Hyannisport. It's fun to look back at these things, and you look at the ads that are in these magazines, and you're like, well, they're not around anymore.
Yep.
Wow, you don't see that very often. It's an ad for Camel cigarettes.
Yeah.
inside Time magazine. Wow. Well, thank you very much. That's so cool.
I
That's
saw
a
the
great
Joy
picture.
of the Sox and instantly thought of you.
That was the final out had just been made, and Jason Varitek jumps into Keith Folk's arms.
Yep.
As
I
they
have
celebrate.
no idea who he's talking about.
All right, Jason Varitek is the catcher with all the equipment.
Yeah.
Keith Folk's the other guy. He was the pitcher.
Okay.
All right, there you go. So now I got a question for you, Bob.
Uh-oh.
All right, and it's
a sports question?
No, it's legal related. How about this? My wife and I had to go up to Boston the other day
Yes.
So, we're at a range of this station, so I'm listening to some Boston stations, and I heard something I have never heard before on any radio station, all right? Obviously, it's legal because they put it on. Now, you deal with wills, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever heard this? Here comes this, whatever this radio station is, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They come on and say, hi, we're a wonderful station. We love being part of the community, and you can help us by making that station part of your estate planning. Please leave us your money when you die, is basically what they were saying. I said, I have never heard this.
Sounds like a
ever. It does. But they were completely serious. And I'm thinking, have you ever had anybody leave money to a for-profit organization? People will leave money to nonprofits, like, we want to give $10,000 to Autumn Fest or the Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative. Right. Okay, that's fine. But this is a for-profit organization. Have you ever run across that ever happening? I'm going to say I'm assuming it's legal, Bob.
I imagine it's legal. I'm surprised they would be so blatant about it. I haven't heard of it from a radio station or something like that. Of course, you see PBS and you know that they're a nonprofit and they're looking for some types of donations in the future. Yeah. But no, I haven't heard of that
before. But PBS doesn't even do that. Leave us your money after you die, kind of thing. They're like, donate it right now while you still have it.
Don't blatantly say it. Yeah. It's
And they even made it even easier for you, because at the end of the message it was like, go to our website. It was the radio station's call letters /planning to make it nice and easy, where you could just type in, sure, they get, I don't know, $5,000 after I pass away.
I get news for you.
Wow.
WOON is not in my estate plan.
No?
No.
Could you add that in, please?
I'd be afraid to.
Afraid to?
Well, if you knew you were getting 9 cents from me, I'm not sure I want to walk in the dark.
It's coming. But yeah, first time I've ever heard it. I mentioned it to Dave a couple days ago. He goes, that particular station, they've been doing that for a while.
Okay.
Like, wow. But none of the others have picked up on it, and none of the others do it.
Okay,
good.
I'm
like, Dave, what do you think? And, yeah, good idea. He's like, no.
Good.
So
Good.
We're not going to do that. Okay.
You guys still have class.
All right, thanks. Well, speaking of court, speaking of legal stuff, here we go, Bob. The Supreme Court. All right, they're considering what could be the nation's first taxpayer-funded religious public charter school.
I saw that.
This is in Washington, D.C. All right. The High Court heard arguments on Wednesday. The Supreme Court's in Washington. This is taking place in Oklahoma.
No, the Supreme Court's in Washington. The school is in Oklahoma.
That's right. Did I say that backwards? Okay. Anyway, they heard Oklahoma's St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School is seeking to join the state's charter school program. The school is opposed by the state's Republican Attorney General, as well as public and charter school advocates who argue this would threaten the separation of church and state by allowing taxpayer money to go towards religious education. Thoughts on that, Bob?
From the news articles, it seems as though the Supreme Court, the more conservative members of the court, were looking favorably upon having the school allowed to be part of the system. Personally, I think it's an extension. I think it is bringing some state sponsorship into religion, and I don't think that's appropriate within the Constitution.
All right. Garrett, did you hear about this story?
Yeah, and what I heard about it, too, is that if the case, goes forward, it could open up other states to have to be forced to allow religious schools to apply for funding in Rhode Island here. And, we have a big fight right now between the public schools and the charter schools, and this would make it even worse for our local public schools, yeah.
If the Supreme Court rules in favor of the school, it could allow other religious schools to apply for public funding as well. A split 4-4 decision that would leave an Oklahoma Supreme Court ruling blocking the proposed school in place is possible, as Justice Amy Coney Barrett is not participating in the case. I wonder why. Is she from Oklahoma?
No, she had a professional relationship with one of the people involved in the case.
Okay.
Worked somehow. There were consultants or something that was completely professional, but she said no because I'm aware of this person.
It's a conflict.
It's a conflict, and I'm not going to join.
Okay.
But I think the real issue is, it may sound great. You have a charter school that's being sponsored by a particular faith, but then when you have another faith come along and make the same application, and if they don't get it, are you
Yeah.
Are you
opening up sets of
sponsoring one
lawsuits
against the other?
Well,
and if
yes.
I'm coming in with, I'm setting up a church of the devil, and
right.
Well, lawyers, of course, that works fine. And
you and Satan are tight, right?
well,
But
he's waiting for me, so
now Catholic schools, if I'm right on this, and I'm not sure, Catholic schools don't pay taxes, right? Aren't they part of the diocese, and the diocese doesn't pay taxes, right?
Correct.
I have no idea, but I think that's probably true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now they're getting taxpayer money. Shouldn't they pay taxes now, since they're going to be part of the system?
Well, no schools pay. Even a charter school, public schools. I mean, none of them pay. So I guess they're trying trying to say like that's who we are now. The only typical schools that would pay would be a college or university, but they typically will have a pilot agreement.
All right. I think this sets a bad precedent if it goes through.
I hate to agree with you, man.
Darn. Well, I'm not thinking Satan, but but now Muslims and Jewish and Buddhists and any other ones you could think of.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Satan, but
if you're doing it for one
you
faith,
have to do it with the others.
You're going to have to do it for everybody, and if you don't, then you have some serious problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder where the Supreme Court will fall on this one and when they're going to rule. So I don't know.
Probably within the next few months. Probably before the end of June.
All right.
I don't know either.
Okay. Well, it's made it all the way to the Supreme Court. So there you go. Yesterday we got the news that it's quite possible that former governor of Rhode Island, Gina Raimondo, is considering running for president in 2028. She was asked straight out. Mm-hmm. She was in Chicago. Are you considering? The answer is yes. Considering it, okay? She also went on to say that if another candidate that she thinks is a stronger candidate, better ideas or whatever like that, she would fully support that person instead of herself. But it's a long way off, and she's got a long time to consider it now that she's out of a job. And I can see her doing it, at least running for the nomination.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not terribly enthusiastic about it just yet because I'd like to know who else is available. And
the only other name we had it yesterday, and it's a state, or it's a representative out of California, Rose Shakar, or something like that. Oh. First name is R.O. I remember that because that was very unusual.
I know there's some other people considering it. I think Gavin Newsom from California is considering it. I think Cory Booker from New Jersey would probably run.
Try again.
So
what about Harris? Will she give it another shot?
I mean, I heard that she wanted to be governor for California, but I don't know. I don't see her being able to win. So I think she should probably do something else, either go back to the Senate or run for a governor. But
she had her big speech yesterday, her first speech since leaving office. I forget where it took place, but she went on and just all she said was the tariffs are bad and Trump's lousy and it's been a terrible 100 days, which is basically what she said. And to her group of people, they're all going to agree with her. So they were all cheering her like crazy.
That's how she lost the campaign, honestly, because all she did was talk about anti-Trump and didn't talk about anything that she actually wanted to accomplish. And I think that was a big mistake. So. I just think it's someone else's opportunity now to run. So
I would think the Democrats ought to start being much more active in their activities down in Washington and be more aggressive and bring themselves more attention and have one or two of them actually be the front runners and start to be making progress in achieving achieving a persona so that they can be identified by the population. And I know it's going to sound terribly sexist, but I think that it's probably should be a male candidate rather than a female candidate. Not because I prefer a male candidate, but because I think a lot of the electorate does. And I think that having a female candidate is going to turn off some of your potential voters just by virtue of her sex, which is a terrible thing to say, but I think it's true in this particular country right now.
What about as a VP candidate?
VP candidate would probably be fine.
Be okay?
Yeah.
And sometimes people run, to be honest with you, to be considered in one of those other positions too. That's how you get your name out there. That's how people will see you. And
I really want to be secretary of blah, blah, blah.
Even if you don't come from a big state, you're not going to, it's going to be hard for anybody to win from Rhode Island or Delaware or whatever, but unless you really get your name out there. And I think if she did that, it probably would be a good spot for her. But, I think, too, we need somebody that gets a better understanding of the economy. I think that's
I heard
where
that yesterday.
How Democrats struggle is, like, you can't just keep on putting up lawyers and, no offense, at this particular time. I think focus on somebody that has run a business, that knows a little bit about business, because I think that's helpful, especially, I talk to many businesses that are really struggling. I know we talk about this idea of, like, bringing all these jobs back to America, right? And we talk about that all the time. But the reality is, I don't think we have the workforce to actually fulfill that. We have manufacturing jobs here in Woonsocket, and we can't fill them. So if you're not going to build that pipeline, then, people do need those cheaper products so that you can be able to afford some of those products. And we have some of them in all of our homes, that are, we don't want to spend $200 when we can spend $100 on an item. Everybody looks for money to save, and it's something that makes us stronger, I think, to be able to have more money to spend out in the economy, because the more money that we spend on products, the less that we can spend at the local restaurant, the less we can spend on travel to a hotel or a restaurant, And so I don't see the concept of trying, and as much as I would love to bring jobs to America, I just don't think that that's the area to focus in on if we can't build that pipeline of actually workers to fill them,
We were talking about that yesterday in the Coffee and program at Garrett, and it was just, and John Ward brought up the point that the last Democratic candidate for president that ran on an economic platform was Bill Clinton. Got him elected.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons.
People care about that. I mean, they always vote with their pocketbooks. They really do. Yeah. And I think immigration, too, was a huge, huge issue, and Democrats really dropped the ball there. They had to focus in on that and say, I don't know why they couldn't say, if you were convicted of murder, convicted of rape, you should be sent back to the country that you came from. I mean, that's an automatic to me. I just don't understand how they couldn't take that position.
Watch out. They're going to throw you out of the Democratic Party, Garrett.
Well, it's come on. I mean, like, there's no point in having people like that in here in our country that are going to cause problems.
But you got Bob right here saying, we're going to have due process, right, Bob?
Absolutely.
Oh, there you go.
I'm talking about convicted, not
okay, already convicted. Gotcha.
Not alleged.
Not just round them up. Okay, very good. We're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program. More coming your way. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240.
John Chan at Chan's Fine Oriental Dining reminding you that Mother's Day is May the 11th, and today is May. Reserve early for dine-in and takeout, 765-1900. Entertainment-wise, tomorrow night, it's the 2nd of May, and from 8 to 10 in the Four Seasons Banquet Room, it's George McCann. Tomorrow night, he is a guitarist with the James Montgomery Blues Band, an extremely fluid and articulate style, a melodic storyteller from the first note. $15 in advance, $20 at the door. That's coming up tomorrow night. On Saturday, it's the Confounded Bridge coming up. What do you have to say about that? They perform Led Zeppelin greats, hits from Stairway to Heaven all the way to Whole Lotta Love. Starts at 8 o'clock. At Chan's, where they got great food, too. 267 Main Street in Woonsocket, Chan's.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Ellen.
And this is Sarah Beth.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese,
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and our Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
WOON Woonsocket Radio, ON AM and FM. Have you heard of Scott McGee with RE/MAX Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first, and he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It's a Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. My name's Joe Callahan, and this portion of Coffee In is sponsored by the Blackstone Valley Call-In Times.
Whether you own a restaurant or an auto repair shop, you need as many customers as you can get. Every business does. Don't limit yourself to one newspaper. Get the power of 2 daily newspapers for the price of 1. The Blackstone Valley's Call-In Times deliver customers from all over the valley with just one phone call. Phone 767-8500 for twice the effectiveness over twice the area. The Call and the Times.
It's Coffee In. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callahan along with Bob Lauder and Garrett Manseri. Comments, questions can be called in 766-1240. So for you, Bob, since you're the lawyer in the crowd here.
Uh-oh. Yes.
And a caller called in. It's just like to know, were any laws broken in the following scenario? We don't know if this actually happened, but here's the scenario, okay?
Okay.
A young woman is walking her dog. The dog happens to be on a leash every day, just walking it down the street. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Another lady comes out of her house and sees the woman with the dog and says, oh, I want to go say hi to the dog, say hi to the puppy. So she goes to say hi to the puppy. Now the dog or the puppy jumps up on the old lady and knocks her down, and she hits her head and gets knocked out and was taken to the hospital.
Wow.
Okay. The husband of the old lady now says he's going to sue the young lady because of what has happened with the dog. Have any laws been broken in this scenario?
I don't think it's a question as to whether a law has been broken. There might have been some type of municipal law that said you had to control your dog, but that's not the real issue. The issue is going to probably fall much more along the lines of negligence and contributory actions on the part of the elderly lady. I would expect that, they probably would bring a lawsuit against the owner of the dog. The older lady is going to say, well, you may have known that the dog was vicious, was likely to attack me, was not well trained, was not controlled, and therefore I fell down and injured myself. And the owner of the dog is going to be saying, you came over and put yourself into a position of danger by not knowing
the dog?
knowing what the attitude of the dog was going to be. You brought yourself into his control, and therefore so it's going to be a question of negligence, not so much as whether or not somebody broke a law.
Okay.
Yeah. And as Garrett was, because you read this to us earlier, as Garrett was saying in his illustration about the famous McDonald's coffee case, there was no law that said what the degree of the coffee was going to be that was handed to the purchaser. It was how the incident took place. So,
but most, especially if it's a puppy, they're always excited. Oh, new person.
You have to
And
anticipate
they jump up on you. And they're not trying to attack. They're there to say hi.
mm-hmm.
But it's possible to knock them down. I missed out on a good lawsuit, Bob. I may have told you about this. I don't know, Gary, if you've ever heard this story. When I was out in Idaho. All right?
Idaho.
Yep.
Potato country.
I am walking to class. All right, and I'm on the left-hand side of the walkway. Let's say. Okay, coming towards me is another guy with his dog on a leash, and his dog is on the outside. So it's me going in this direction, him coming in the other direction, and then the dog.
Okay.
All right. As we pass each other, I didn't even acknowledge them. I didn't acknowledge him or the dog. I was always impressed with this. The dog leaped around his owner and bit me on the thigh.
Yikes!
Wow.
I couldn't. I was amazed that he could even do this. I'm like, and he ripped my pants too, and I had a nice L-shaped tear in the pants, and of course the guy was all apologetic right away. And the only thing I could think of at the time was, does your dog have all its shots?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rabies was the first thing that came to mind, and he assured me that he did. Okay, and then we just parted ways. I didn't know what else to do, and so I just continued on to class. I think I hit the men's room when I got to a building, and got some paper towels and went, "Jeez."
Have you seen
bleeding a little.
Have you seen any cases like that? Where
This is why you should always carry a legal card in your wallet, just to know who to call in case of it. I'll hand some out to you before I leave.
Well, that'd be great. I think the statute of limitations has really run out on this.
Yeah, and you don't know who it was.
Probably, yeah.
and,
I have no names. I have no address. The dog is probably dead by now. This happened well over 30 years ago. But I would have had a case back then. So
You probably would have. Yes.
wow. Okay.
But
what would I have gotten? You know.
well, not a question of what you've gotten, but are you the kind of guy who's going to do something?
Well,
like
not really. So all right. The dog was protecting its owner. Thought I was a threat. I don't know why. I guess I was just way too close.
Garrett,
Maybe that was it.
can you imagine that nobody can understand why he could be a threat?
Yeah, I
am
don't know.
not-
I don't get it.
I'm not
Wow.
a threat. All right, Garrett. I read yeah, we're going to Garrett for a minute.
Great.
I read the press release a little earlier on the air today. The George Nasuti Novan Pride 5K is coming up. Now that it's May, now it's going to be this month. Tell us about it.
It's coming up quickly. So we always do the race Memorial Day in May. So you can sign up. The website's called runsignup.com. And what you do is you do a search because they have a whole bunch of races on that website, and you just search Novan's Pride, and you'll see it come up. So I think this is the 11th year that we've done it, 10th year since George has passed away, and it's been named in his honor ever since. But we average a good amount of people. Could get anywhere from 250 or more runners or walkers. You can walk as well too, so you don't have to run the whole course. But we start at Leo Savoy School, and we go Elder Ballou, Diamond Hill, Mendon Road, and then back. So it's a pretty good race. People enjoy it, and then we just come together, give out some awards. So we do cash prizes now. So 300 for the first male and female, 200, and then 100. So you can win some money if you're really good. So tell your family and friends to sign up. But we really hope that people will sign up, and all the money goes towards scholarships and donations towards the local athletic programs.
Fantastic. So that comes up on Memorial Day this year. You have plenty of time to get in shape, Bob, and get ready to run.
Last time I
It's tough
ran
to-
like that was in the Army. I have no desire to recreate those
Was
days.
someone yelling at you behind you? Faster, Lauder. It'll be tough to catch Garrett, too, because he runs this race and he's very quick. So
Although I wish I could beat Ellis Cooper, who was at the Boys and Girls Club, but he runs way faster than me. He could actually do it twice as fast as I can.
Well,
so.
the problem is Ellis has got at least a foot on you. Ellis Cooper's a very tall man.
Okay.
And with really long legs. So he
Yeah.
takes much longer strides.
I can't beat him. No.
All right. Anything going on? Are you involved with the Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative still?
We are.
What's new over there?
So we have an event coming up at the museum, which is opening, grand opening today.
Today, yeah.
So we have an event May 17th over there. It's an 80s themed murder mystery. So we always do a murder mystery, but we do a different theme, do a different decade. Last year we did Clue. This year we're doing 80s themes, so there'll be some 80s themed Woonsocket celebrities, if you will, tribute acts, if you will, there to as the suspects, and you have to guess which one of them killed the other star,
All right.
and you have to guess the room, you have to guess the weapon, which are all 80s themed weapons. So you have like a disco ball and a skateboard, and so those are different weapons than Clue for
And
sure.
a DeLorean?
And I don't have that yet, but so it's a fun event. We encourage people to dress like the 80s, so you might have some of those clothes in your closet still, so you can bring them out.
Anything neon,
And-
neon colored.
And tickets are available on our website, which is DWC for Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative, and then the zip code 02895.org. So the tickets are $45 a piece. We'll have some food there from River Falls, and Ciro's will be there with a cash bar. So
Tell us
should be a fun
again,
night.
where is it going to be and when?
Museum of Work and Culture, right down on South Main Street. And it's Saturday, May 17th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
You ever do a murder mystery thing, Bob?
No, I haven't.
No? Okay.
Sounds like fun.
I wonder if you'd be good at it, being a lawyer. Could you deduct? I know it's not a detective work kind of thing, but
he'll have really good questions for the
probably be the dead
suspects.
body.
Oh, well, there you go. Nice and easy.
Oh,
right?
you could volunteer for that too. Yeah, I haven't signed that up yet. So,
All right. Well, that's great, Garrett. So thank you. So back here in Rhode Island, 3 Rhode Island men are accused of stealing and selling hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of catalytic converters. I didn't know this was still a thing,
Wow.
but apparently it is. And apparently, if you're good at it, it only takes seconds to get one of these things off a car.
where did they steal them? In the parking lot or a car sale?
That's what they do. Let's see. They go. Let's see. They steal them from vehicles in your neighborhood, so in your
nice.
driveway,
Yep.
and parking lots, both in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts.
Okay, they take it away from the vehicle.
Yes.
They must market it somehow. There must be a recipient for this stuff.
There is. Charges include interstate transportation of stolen property and conspiracy. There's precious metals inside the catalytic converter, so there is a market. There's a black market for these items.
Okay, in a broken down state. They're not.
Yeah, they don't
reselling
actually
them to
want.
somebody
They
who's
actually
going
don't
to put it
want
onto a
the
vehicle.
catalytic converter. They want what's in it.
Oh, all right.
So-
Okay, I see.
And so, and I've actually seen videos of how quickly these things can be stolen. You get, because I always thought the catalytic converter was some big thing. It's not. It's about 7 inches long.
Oh,
Yeah, and you get in underneath and you cut and take it, and you can be gone within like 10 seconds.
Wow.
oh wow! I thought it was large, like the muffler on the car too.
I thought it was that, but it's not. It's something much smaller.
Wow.
But it's still a thing, and these 3 guys from Providence, Newport, and Cranston are all facing these charges. So there's gonna be money. There's gonna be money in it somehow. They're selling it. So
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yep. All right. And not a good story here. Cranston woman was found guilty in the 2020 death of her infant son. They convicted this woman on a manslaughter charge in the death of a 9-month-old. Police began to investigate the mom after the infant was found unresponsive in their home. The baby was taken to Hasbro Children's Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. During the trial, a forensics pathologist who previously worked at the medical examiner's office testified that an autopsy revealed that the baby had a skull fracture and hemorrhaging of the brain, and the cause of death was blunt force trauma.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. The DCYF determined that the child's death was the result of maltreatment. She will be scheduled to be sentenced July 25th.
Wow.
You think that's I mean, they got the charge down to manslaughter as opposed to murder.
Oh, she didn't probably intentionally intend to harm the child to the degree it was.
When she hit it in the head.
Right. Right. But no, she didn't go out with
Is
a
that the-
meditated desire to kill the child.
Is that the difference between murder and manslaughter?
Manslaughter is usually an act where you did not
Prede-
predeterminedly
Okay.
decide to kill somebody. Yes.
Okay. All right, we're going to take another break here on the Coffee Amp program. More coming your way. This portion of Coffee Amp has been sponsored by the Blackstone Valley Call-In Times.
Whether you own a restaurant or an auto repair shop, you need as many customers as you can get. Every business does. Don't limit yourself to one newspaper. Get the power of 2 daily newspapers for the price of 1. The Blackstone Valley's Call-In Times deliver customers from all over the valley with just one phone call. Phone 767-8500 for twice the effectiveness over twice the area. The Call and the Times.
This weather forecast is being brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 69 degrees and a calm wind. Tonight, 50% chance of scattered showers mainly after 2 a.m., increasing clouds with a low of 49 degrees. Friday's weather, not much of a chance of showers, but there is a tiny one. Patchy fog in the morning, otherwise cloudy, gradually becoming mostly sunny Friday with a high near 78 degrees, but the winds could gust up to 23 miles per hour, and they be coming out of the southwest. Friday night, not much of a chance of showers, but there is a chance of a shower or thunderstorm. And then mostly cloudy skies with an overnight low of 57 Friday night. Saturday, A 40% chance of some showers and thunderstorms, high of 77 Saturday. Saturday night, the big chance of rain, mostly cloudy skies with a low around 58, 70% chance of being wet outdoors. Sunday, a 60% chance of showers likely, mostly cloudy with a high of 68. Monday, partly sunny skies and 57. Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies and 63. And on Wednesday, a chance of showers, partly sunny with a high of 69.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with sunny skies, we have 56 degrees. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
J.B. Liquors is more than just a liquor store. It's your friendly neighborhood liquor store. That means you get personalized service as well as a great selection of beer, wine, and spirits. J.B. Liquors has everything you need from everyday brews and table wines to craft beers and single-barrel whiskeys. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 7:30 to 10 p.m., Sundays from 10 to 6 p.m. J.B. Liquors, your hometown source for beer, wine, and spirits since 1979. 1117 Social Street across from O'Reilly's Auto Parts in Woonsocket.
50-cent nip bottles are available at J.B. Liquors.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
It's Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Garrett Manseri and Bob Lauder. Bob, time for first message from your law office, please.
Good morning. Thank you. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. I'm going to disappoint Douglas and Diana today because I'm not going to talk about law at all.
Oh.
I'd like to talk instead about the St. James Episcopal Church May Breakfast, which is coming up on Saturday of this week. It's St. James Episcopal Church is down on Hamlet Avenue in Woonsocket. When you go over the Court Street Bridge, it's the large white church on your left-hand side with the columns in front of it. The May breakfast begins at 8 o'clock in the morning. It runs through noontime, and we are very, very fortunate to have Jean Michon and her New Beginnings volunteers who are going to be the chefs, and you know how great Jean is.
Mm-hmm.
They have French toast, ham, sausage, baked beans, muffins, juice, coffee, tea. The cost is $12 for adults. Children who are 5 to 12 are $5 a piece, and under 5 years old, it is free. There are tickets at the door. There's parking in the back of the church, and there should be a lot of good people there. So I hope you come and join us and experience the St. James May Breakfast.
All right. Thanks there, Bob. We get a note called in, 766-1240, just to the panel. They want to know, did anyone hear about the interview on a CBS morning television show that involved Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson? It is leaked into the national media. You know,
I would be watching
well, not you,
Bill Belichick interview.
All right. Let me talk to Garrett about this for a minute.
Okay.
I did see it. She stopped.
Well, they asked the question.
I didn't watch the whole thing. But
I didn't either.
I watched,
Whoever was doing the interview asked Belichick, because the interview was with him.
Right.
And she's off to the side. You can't see her.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked him, how did you two meet?
Okay.
And he didn't answer. And then she spoke up from like behind the camera, off the camera, and just said, we're not going to answer that.
Oh. All right.
So obviously it's not a public story as to how they met. But.
And so that's all I've seen of it. And some people are making, I guess, a big deal about it. You know, I really could care less about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend or how they met or what they're doing. Does this affect the price of beer? No. It just doesn't affect me at all.
I think what was interesting, too, is that they asked him about his Instagram. And it's not her Instagram, it's his Instagram. And he started sharing photos of the two of them. And he basically said something like, well, I don't know anything about that. I don't know how those,
How it works?
so basically, we know that he's not even the one posting it. It's her posting
She
it.
posting on
So
his
obviously,
account. Okay.
I mean, whatever. It is what it is. But obviously, she's using him for his status and to try to up her name.
The big thing about it, Bob, is that Bill is like 76.
Mm-hmm.
She's 24. She's beautiful.
All right. So obviously, come on,
the way they met, he was coaching the New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
She was a cheerleader.
Okay.
Now they have rules. The cheerleaders can't date any of the players, the coaches, the staff. That's a rule with every NFL team.
All right.
But he quit. He did get rehired, or she quit being a cheerleader. Now it's okay to date. So
that happens all the time. I mean, same thing with Rob Gronkowski. He dated a cheerleader, but they didn't officially date until she quit the cheerleading. So it's like,
but they're all, the 50-year age gap here is whatever it's all in a tizzy about. So.
But it's not like it's uncommon. I mean, and when somebody has that kind of wealth and power,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But
I think if I went home and told my wife that I was interested in a 24-year-old girl,
she said, "Best of
the
luck."
hysteria would be heard all over town.
Like my wife would say, "Well, good luck to you. If you can pull it off, go right ahead." kind of thing. Yeah, well, that ain't happening. So anyway, it was tough enough when I was 24 with the 24-year-old women. All right, moving on. Is this a good thing? Is this something Woonsocket should do, Garrett? What do you think? The Providence Fire Department has announced the return of the Emergency Medical Services Bicycle Program to downtown Providence. All right. The program was first launched as a pilot in the summer of 2023 to support public safety efforts, overdose prevention, and connection to recovery services for those experiencing substance use challenges. The program initially operated for only 4 hours each weekday, and it is now expanding to 8 hours a day due to growing community needs and early success. The EMS bike program is being strategically deployed in areas with a high volume of overdose and behavioral health-related calls.
What's the bike program? Do the EMTs go out on bicycles, but they don't have that much equipment?
That's what it sounds like. Whatever you can carry, and if they're just going to be in the overdose areas, Narcan that they can carry on their belt loop to try to prevent an overdose while they radio in, okay, something else is going on.
Yeah.
Interesting concept.
I know the police department use bike patrols.
They do, yeah.
In here, I've never heard of EMS on bikes just hanging out in certain areas.
It's kind of a sad state of affairs that you need to even consider something like that. Like there's so much help needed out there that we can't even get to them quick enough on vehicles that we have to use the bikes too. But
yeah,
I mean, if it works down there, then good for them, But
well, I guess it has since they're expanding the hours. It was only up for 4 hours. Now they're expanding it to 8, and I guess they can get to whoever needs them quicker on a bicycle. Hey, you're only a block away. It's going to take the truck or the ambulance. It's going to take them 5 minutes to get there. You can be there in 2.
Yeah, in Providence, I mean, there's a lot of traffic, especially busy hours. So
bikes
I mean,
in and out.
Yeah.
Now I wonder if the weather's going to have any impact on that. I've seen the police officers on bicycles around here, but I don't recall ever seeing them in the rain. I only see them when it's nice weather.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to work in the wintertime, especially if it's snowing.
Right.
And even the bike officers don't work in the wintertime because it's just too cold.
Right.
I wonder if they won't run it in the rain. I don't know. But I'm sure
it's an interesting concept.
It is. I just wonder, could it work in other communities and up here in Woonsocket? I guess it could, but I just don't know where you would place them.
Yeah, I mean, it would save money to not use so much gas going from place to place because every time there's an emergency, and a lot of people would ask me about this, there would always be an ambulance and then a fire truck behind them because they needed so much equipment, from the fire truck. But so if they could save money and not have to deploy both of those vehicles and take care of a situation, then yeah, it would be faster to get to the people, and it also would save money to not use the gas.
And maybe they can do there and use the Narcan for an overdose, or they can stick a bandage on you, at least stop the bleeding that may be happening while they call for the ambulance. Yeah, we really need you because they need transportation to the hospital, kind of thing. But I'm here faster, so this is what we've started to do.
Or start CPR quicker.
Or CPR because we got there quicker.
Yeah.
So. All right, not a bad idea. We'll see if Woonsocket wants to take a look into this. All right, there was a company out of Pawtucket that is being fined by OSHA. They were down on Martha's Vineyard, and they're being fined nearly $20,000, failing to give proper safety training to its employees. And it looks like an employer did not ensure that employees using ladders or stairways had been trained by a competent person in the nature of fall hazards in the work area. It doesn't say, it does say in the headline, someone died.
What kind of company was it?
Well, it doesn't really say. Just a construction company.
All right.
Building something, but, there's a certain way to work the ladders, and you got to have safety people footing the ladder. You just can't let someone go off by themselves, especially on the work site.
Okay.
And I guess they didn't train them that way, and someone fell from the Pawtucket company, and they ended up dying.
Wow.
Yeah, so OSHA looked into it, and okay, what you did was illegal or against our rules of OSHA, and they fined him $20,000. Wow, that's big. All right, we're going to take our next break here of the Coffee Air program, but more is coming your way. So, Bob, it's time for a second message from your law office.
Thank you. I'm just going to remind you again that on Saturday, the 3rd of May, 2 days from now, the St. James Church in Woonsocket is holding a May breakfast. It's going to be at the Church Parish Hall, which is at 24 Hamlet Avenue in Woonsocket. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and runs through noontime. And the food, which is being prepared by Jean Michon and her New Beginnings volunteers, and everybody knows who Jean is and what a great job she does and what a fantastic chef. It's going to be French toast, ham, sausage, baked beans, muffins, juice, coffee, and tea. There's also going to be mini omelets, and the tickets are for adults $12, children 5 to 12 or $5. Under 5 years old is free. The tickets are available at the door. There's parking behind the parish hall, and it sounds like a great time. I hope to be there, and I hope a lot of people will be as well.
All right, Bob, thanks. Very good. More of the Coffee and program is coming up. Stick around. They've reopened. The Museum of Work and Culture has reopened. That's great news. The museum is resuming regular visiting hours, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., Tuesday through Friday, and 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Come explore the lives of immigrants at home, work, and school through the museum's 9 immersive exhibits. Admission is still just $10 for adults, $8 for students, seniors, and veterans, and free for children 10 and under. And free audio tours are still available to all guests. Tickets to the Museum of Work and Culture can be purchased at the door or online at rihs.simpletix, that's TIX.com. The Museum of Work and Culture is located in Market Square, 42 South Main Street, Woonsocket.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
All right, it's Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Bob Lauder and Garrett Mann. Series here. Day off in the Karen Reed retrial today. I guess the judge is going to do something else today. So prosecution witness Jennifer McCabe spent the entire day yesterday under cross-examination, Bob. That's rough. That's a long time, huh?
Yes, it is.
With defense attorney Alan Jackson yesterday. Jackson grilled McCabe on inconsistent statements she had made implicating Reed since her Boston cop boyfriend John O'Keefe was found dead outside a Canton home in 2022. McCabe will be back on the stand again when the testimony resumes on Friday.
Now, you followed this case much more than I have.
Well, I'm trying to follow it.
Who is Jennifer McCabe? Where does she fit into this?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Garrett, if you know. But I believe she's either the wife or the girlfriend of one of the guys that was in the house.
Okay.
Was
she there at the time or elsewhere?
She was with Karen, and I think they were all out drinking that night. I know they were drinking. I think she was drinking too. But the big thing with her, with Jennifer McCabe, is she's the one that Googled on her phone at like 2 a.m. How long does it take for a body to die of exposure, of cold.
That's not a normal thing to Google.
At 2 in the
Especially
morning in a
when-
snowstorm when you're standing over a body.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
Circumstantial, though, right, Bob?
Well, I think that part of the,
And it's
the
not
issue
illegal,
would be
but
when did the Google inquiry take place in relation to the time that the police officer died?
see that I don't have that straight in my mind. I don't know if she did it when they saw the body lying in the lawn or before then. See,
Okay.
I'm not following it that close. I don't know when she Googled, but I know that's a pertinent fact. Why would you Google that? It's like the people that say, how much lime do I need when I'm burying a body? Why do you need to know this information?
Why do you get the information off a device that can be tracked?
Well, it's the only thing I have at the time. It's 2 in the morning. I can't run to my house.
I think people don't think about that. They don't think
the
about the
time.
fact that like your phone is accessible. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
even though it's locked and you can't, when you get brought into a case like this, I mean, everything that you do, your computer, your laptop, your
We're looking
cell
at
phone,
everything.
I mean, they have access to all those things, and even if you try to go back and delete your search history,
No,
they can
it's-
still find it, So,
I don't know, Bob. No
so she
one's-
should have took someone else's phone and did the Google on that, That would have been smarter.
She might have done that, but they said, "Well, I gave it to her to go do it." So
I was
okay.
watching a program with my daughter and wife last night where they were tracking a vehicle, and they got it from the cameras that were on traffic lights.
Yeah.
They were able to track the vehicle for several miles.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. It's kind of like when if you they always say if someone's missing, well, let's track their ATM card. Are they taking cash out? If they take cash out here, and now no, they've done it over here. They know what in what direction you're headed.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay.
So pay cash. All right? Kind of thing.
Big Brother is
Always,
really watching.
always watching is absolutely right. Okay, they had a little an incident in Foxborough. I don't know if you've ever gone up to Patriot Place at all.
Yes.
But okay, and go to the movies there. There's a Showcase Cinema up there.
I haven't been to the movies, no.
Okay. Well, police in Foxborough had to go to the movie theater. They arrested a man. He was threatening people with a gun at the Showcase Cinema at
jeez.
Patriot Place. Multiple 911 calls were received from the theater on Tuesday. A man threatening others with a gun. The person left before the police arrived, but after an investigation, 23-year-old Nicholas Butler of Walpole was arrested for assault with a dangerous weapon and other offenses. Police say they determined the weapon used at the theater was an airsoft pistol, but if you're in that situation, looks like a gun to you.
Yes.
And you're not going to say,
Was it an attempt to get money out of people, or what was the point of the?
Doesn't say.
Oh.
He was just threatening people, so possibly.
Oh.
Okay. Pass over the goods.
If you're bored, take your gun and go to the movies.
You want to go see a Minecraft movie?
It's not gonna go well, but yeah.
All right. Other things going on around the country. As I look up, you don't normally hear this. A priest in upstate New York. I think it's upstate Newburgh, New York. Anybody know where Newburgh is?
Nope.
Okay. A priest in New York State will spend 16 weekends in jail for stealing from his former parish.
Wow.
That's right in the top 10 of things not to do. Father William Damroth has pleaded guilty to grand larceny after stealing $300,000.
Wow.
This is I need $10 for something. $300,000 from St. Mother Teresa of Calcutta Church in Newburgh, New York. Damroth was also has to complete 500 hours of community service, 5 years probation. He has paid back the full amount he has stolen.
Wow.
So he didn't go
I guess
buy
he didn't
something.
go. Yeah, it was just stealing.
I was waiting for the end. Well, there's a gambling problem.
He's saving up for his retirement. Yeah.
So, but no reason on why he would have stolen this money. It's like, wow.
That's
how about
surprising.
that?
If he had not made the restitution, I would expect that his penalties would have been much more severe than 16 weekends in incarceration.
Right. Yeah.
I'm surprised he's at 16 weekends. That's when their job is. Saturday and Sunday nights.
Well, I guess maybe that's the point, to take away the income. I guess I don't know.
Well, maybe okay. And it makes you wonder what's he going to do for community service? Going to pick up trash?
Hopefully, nothing that involves money. So.
Yeah, really.
That church is far more rich than most of the churches I'm familiar with.
Well, it doesn't say how long.
Could be years.
It took him to steal $300,000. Maybe he was taking, I don't know, $100 every week, out of the collection plate. So
I have no idea.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, there's a woman down in Washington D.C. A grieving D.C. widow's demanding answers about what happened to her husband's body. I hate stories like this. Laura Dorsey lost her husband Ronald in November and had to score a D.C. government voucher to cover the cost of cremation. She used Heaven Bound in Charles County, but that business was shut down by the state in January after inspections uncovered disturbing business practices. This story just gets worse. Dorsey never received her husband's death certificate or ashes, and she's unsure if the body was even cremated at some point. She's now suing the business and its owners for $10 million, but if they're going out of business, I don't know how she's going to get this money.
Yeah.
Crazy story, huh?
Yeah, the part about the death certificate is the unusual part. The death certificates, at least in Rhode Island, are issued by the clerks of the municipality
town?
in which the individual has passed away. Yeah.
You think you should go to that town hall, and say, I want a copy of the death certificate.
I don't know. This is Washington, D.C.? Or Washington?
Yes, Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And I don't know where Charles County is. That could be in Virginia or Maryland.
I'm not sure either.
All right, that's what's going on there. So, okay. Keeping up with the times of what's going on in our fine world today. Robert De Niro's daughter says she's transgender.
So?
Just bringing it up because
okay.
he's a big star and like that. So
that's her life. Whatever she wants to do. It's I don't know why that's even news, but okay.
Because of her dad.
That's
That's the only reason. Aaron De Niro was born in 1995 as the son of De Niro and actress Tukey Smith. In an interview released earlier this week, the 29-year-old said she decided to begin hormone therapy last December after the confidence of other trans women made her realize it was not too late. She said she hopes her coming out will inspire others within the LGBTQ plus community.
Okay, that's her life. She can do what she likes.
Does it affect your life in any way, Bob?
No.
It doesn't affect mine. I don't think it affects Garrett's either. So okay. Let's see. What else is going on here? Let's see. I wonder. Rhode Island should try doing this. New Jersey's trying to lure healthcare providers to the state with an ad campaign that takes aim at Texas's strict abortion laws. All right, New Jersey, come to our state. It's a bizarre ad campaign.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily a bizarre
No?
ad campaign, because I understand that there are doctors who are fearful of being arrested and prosecuted in some of those states
Texas,
for
yeah.
the kind of care that they would give to people in other states which do not have the anti-abortion laws, and they're not actively doing abortions, but that some of the treatment that they may give to people can result in that.
Okay.
And therefore they don't want to be prosecuted.
All right. Well, this is what New Jersey has done. They have bought billboards in Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio, and they're all near very large medical schools and hospitals, and the billboards all have statements on them saying something like this: New Jersey, where healthcare providers determine patient care, not politicians. And another one, in New Jersey, your patient's care is prioritized, not compromised. New Jersey officials are looking at incentives like help with moving costs and loan forgiveness programs to bring providers to the Garden State. So they're not looking for women; they're looking for the doctors,
right,
to uproot your practice and come work here.
Or if you're getting out of school down there and you're considering where to try and begin your practice, come to a state that does not have some of the laws that could otherwise affect you. Yes.
Wow.
I think that's
not a bad
reasonable.
idea.
I think it's a reasonable advertising campaign. Yes.
Look at the shortage we have of doctors here in Rhode Island.
Well, I was gonna say, didn't the governor just come out with a plan to keep doctors here? I can't remember the specifics of it, but there's some kind of program, some incentive, financial incentive for them to stay here, or to start their practice here. As I know that came out recently, but
Well, I thought one of the issues with doctors in Rhode Island was that the insurance payments to doctors in Connecticut and Massachusetts is more lucrative than the payments that doctors would get in Rhode Island for the same kind of treatment.
Right.
And that, okay, now,
I think we had that story yesterday, and I don't have it today. But
That's okay.
he did come up with something like that. Go ahead, Bob.
How do the insurance companies make those determinations, and who controls that determination? Is it the state, or is it? I wouldn't think it's the state. I would imagine it's the insurance company themselves.
I'm not sure.
So how can the state become involved in that?
But we had a story last week about this, and doctors can make 30% more if they just go to Massachusetts.
Okay.
30%.
That's a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
If you just go across the border.
Yeah.
All right. And here in Woonsocket, you don't have to go very far to be in Massachusetts.
That's right.
No, you don't.
All right. Well, we can't dive into that anymore. We've come to the end of the program, so we thank you for listening as always. Bob Lauder, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Hope to be with you next week.
All right,
Great
Garrett.
to see you.
Thank you,
Garrett,
everybody.
thanks for coming in.
Everybody enjoy the day.
All right, this is Joe Callahan. Gary Smith's Do You Remember program coming your way right after the 9 o'clock news here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. Severe weather is being predicted today from Texas to Pennsylvania. Forecasters are warning of a severe weather zone that could produce hail, downpours,